Hello, welcome to vsdevelopers.io. So this is a continuation video of our last topic, which was SQL injection. We have seen how SQL injection damages the data. Damage, when I say, I mean how somebody can get the private data, others' private data, right, which you think you have stored it securely, safely, but it was not. So when your system is vulnerable to SQL injection attacks, a lot of private data can be stolen, visible to unwanted users, unauthorized users. So now, so as we have seen, how do we, inject an attack, the inject a SQL injection attack into the system. Now let's go ahead and see how you can prevent it as a developer. So either when you're writing the code, make sure you remember these points and write your secure code. When you are reviewing the code, make sure your peer has written it in a manner that it cannot be SQL injected. When you are architecting or designing a system, make sure that your entire team follows the secure coding principles. So this is one of them, one of the attacks, SQL injection. So today we are going to cover SQL injection remediation steps. So what do you do in order to prevent SQL injection? All right, so there are three steps. What you could do: never trust input to SQL statements. Yes. So in the last video, we have seen that your input was not validated. Therefore, the malicious user can send a malicious input, which could lead to the attack and your data can be stolen. So never trust user input, always validate it. Let's say in case if the user input cannot be validated, or you don't know where the data is coming from, right? Not necessarily from user, if it is coming from other application or other API. So then in places where you may not be able to validate the input, then make sure that you prepare the SQL statement, right? So you prepare or parameterize the SQL statement. Let's say even after you have done this, somewhere it was missed and the data is breached, the data is stolen. Still, how do you make that data unavailable to uh, the malicious user who has stolen your data? How do we do it? So you encrypt it. So make sure when you are storing it in the database, you store it in an encrypted format, or you hash it and store it, so only with the hash key somebody can read it. I know this is a costly operation. The third one, storing encrypted data into database, is a costly operation because you have to encrypt while storing, and while a general retriever for your regular operations, for the genuine operations, you have to decrypt and then display it or send it. So it is going to be costly, and when your data is so sensitive that it is important and it must be protected as per regulations, compliances, then make sure that you store this data in an encrypted format. So these are the three steps. So first one, you see, there's an example has been written here. Now, when you're reading your user ID from the web example that we have seen, what do? You make sure that you allow only digits. So you write your regular expression according to your input that is expected. So here in this case, we want to expect only the digits, right? No special characters. So in the malicious attack, we were seeing one or two greater than one, or any statement, any expression, any expression that leads to true, right? So therefore, the attack was possible. And the second, you parameterize it. So in earlier we called connection dot execute query directly. But here, what you see, so you have parameterized, and then you prepare the string, the first parameter into ID, and then you call the execute query with the parameters. So these are the three steps that you would keep it in mind when you are interacting with databases, and then when the user input is validated, and when you are storing very sensitive information into the database. Now let's go ahead and see the code. So here it's the same example that I've shown. So this was coming from our previous Java example. So this is the correction code. You have the regular expression that only takes the digits from 0 to 9, and then you have your prepared statement, parameterized and prepared statement run here. Well, so this is the correction code of how you mitigate, or how you remediate the SQL injection attacks before they come to you. So when they come to you, then they cannot exploit your system. They cannot exploit your application and steal the data, right? So let's go ahead and run it and see what it's got to say. So this is the web application, right? So earlier we have seen that. So when I enter 11, it gives me the credit card number pertinent to that particular user. And then let's go ahead and run the invalid input. That is the input that has a malicious intention to fetch everybody else credit cards details. So now here you get back saying that enter valid input. Yes, this is expected. This is what a application that is written securely displays. It doesn't give you the data, others data from the table back to the malicious user. Well, so this is because you have validated the input, you have allowed only the digits, therefore you are able to get this done. And as well as we have parameterized the SQL statement, and of course in this example the database, the Microsoft Azure SQL Server database which we have hosted, it's not encrypted. So you can also encrypt while storing, right? While inserting, you can encrypt and then insert into the database. So that concludes the SQL injection remediation steps. I hope it's useful. Now, whenever you write your code next time, whether it is in Java or C++, any language, right? So these three steps are applicable. So make sure you remember these. You implement it while you are developing, either you are as a developer, as a tester, as an architect. You can keep this in mind, and as a code reviewer too, of course. So happy secure coding, I would say. Until then, see you, and visit vsdevelopers.io or visit our YouTube channel. Thank you.